Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 105 of Gaston's Great podcast, highlighting some of the great things maybe happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. This is our second of many future episodes where we are focused more on an individual and their service to our community as opposed to an organization. And we are thrilled to have Natalie Tindol on the podcast today and looking forward to hearing about all she has done for our community and continues to do for our community. So, Natalie, it's great to have you on and welcome to the podcast.
Boy, oh boy, am I excited to be here. This is thrilling.
Matter of fact, we probably should have videoed and recorded. We did record. We weren't recording audio before we started, did we? Oh, yeah. So that might be even worth some good outtakes from me. So, Natalie, like usual, we are going to talk about your community work and your professional career. But if you don't mind, just tell us a little about yourself and anything you'd like to share before we get into the other details.
I'd be happy to. Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. And I can't tell you how exciting this is that I was asked to be a part of this, because you have an amazing thing going on and you're doing really great things for Gaston. And I would say just to be included in this is really a big deal.
Appreciate that, Natalie.
Like we, had mentioned before, whether people are listen or not, it's the talk of the town, and people love that you pull out the good about Gaston, because we have a lot of good in Gaston, whole lot of good in Gaston. So this is pretty cool. So thank you.
Sure.
But yes, we've going on our 50th year being here as the Tindol family. I moved here when I was 9 from Florida, and
I don't think I knew that.
How about that?
Yeah.
So, a lot of people think that I'm born and raised here.
Yeah.
I feel like I am. And then when I say I was here when I was 9, I've been here 50 years, it gives it away pretty much. And they're like, that's when I give them the cue that's when they're supposed to say, wow, you don't look like you're that old. Is that what you were thinking?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I was thinking it was. So my dad had been in the Ford business his whole life. He loves cars, and he wanted to have a dealership in a small community where he could make a difference. So that's why we came to Gastonia. We bought the dealership from Buddy Lewis, who was a professional baseball player for the Washington Senators, which I think is just amazing.
That is cool, yeah.
Especially since I have kids that play baseball, know how much commitment and how hard it is. You don't just get to play big-time baseball unless you're pretty good. But that was one of the things. He didn't want to sell his business to anybody other than a family that was going to take care of the community, because that's what he did from the 40s through 74 when we moved to Gastonia. So anyway, I had the worst parents ever at the time, though, because we moved from Orlando, and that was just when Disney World was opening, and they were just building Space Mountain. Who would move their kids away from Disney World?
That's cruel and unusual.
That is just punishment right there. So, but we came, we loved it. North Carolina is probably the greatest state in the nation, in my opinion. But we were happy to be here. So yeah, so it's that's how we got to Gastonia, and I was never going to come back here when I went to college. I was never going to live at home, and more than anything, I was never going to be in the car business. So I had my life all planned out. When I was, out of Ashbrook. I'm a Green Wave, a proud Green Wave. We just had a 40th reunion, and it was amazing. We had the best class ever, breaking free in 83. It was awesome. So anyway, I've learned
5 years later might have been a little better, but I'll let that go.
We had a great, what do you call it, decade. We really did.
Yeah, I
agree. The 80s.
Absolutely.
All the 80s were good. We had, because 81, 82, 83, all the way, you were 87?
88.
88. So, a lot of that generation came back to Gastonia, which is really interesting, because I think we all said we're never coming back to Gastonia. And not only did we come back here, but we raised our family here, and we all love it here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I never said I wasn't going to come back, but I was never going to work at GSM. Mm-hmm. Never. Joel was always going to do that. That was
his lifelong ambition, and you were like, you go for it, bro.
And that was,
not me.
And that was 30 years ago.
How about that? Well, it's kind of similar with me and my brother.
Here I am.
Yeah.
It's been great, too.
Yeah, it has been. We've both have a lot to be thankful for. But my brother was going to go in the car business, and he did. And he's still in the car business, but he's not on the retail side. That was not his thing. He loves cars. He's one of those guys that can take a car apart and put it back together blindfolded, and he's got really great talent. But anyway, so that's just a little bit about how I got here and
kids.
I have those.
Yeah.
And I have a husband too, pretty awesome one. Yes, married.
I might know him. Yeah.
20 years. John, he is a perfect fit for me because he's exactly opposite, and he keeps me grounded and in check because he has no filter. So definitely keeps me humble. And then 4 kids, just amazing kids, 35 to 18.
Yeah.
Our youngest just graduated from Forest View, and he's at Gaston College. Absolutely loving it. That place is amazing. We have a great resource at Gaston College.
Sure do.
He's thriving there.
And I had the pleasure of coaching him a little bit through First Methodist Sports. It's been a while. 10 years ago. That's probably been 10 years ago now or longer.
But the Church League with sports is probably how a lot of the kids got such a great foundation of sportsmanship and teamwork and discipline and communication and just all the things that are important to a good adult. And our kids were lucky to be able to go through that program. First Methodist still has a lot going on, and I hope that we get back into the sports now that we have our gym and everything settled. But yeah, so the kids are great. Ty is going to Gaston College. He's changing oil.
I've seen that. Yep, I've seen that. Yeah.
He is doing a great job, and he really likes it. And Parker is 23, and he has been in the parts department for 3 years, and now he is selling cars. He's been in it about 3 months and absolutely loves it. I have seen him mature like I've never imagined. It's so cool to see your kids growing and learning.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. Bailey is 28, and she got her master's at UNCC and is in child psychology and special needs and loves it. And then our oldest, Josh, is living in Winston-Salem. He works for an event company, and he's rocking it too, and just had a baby. So I know, hard to believe, I'm a grandmother.
At 30 years old?
30 years old, hard to believe.
Wow, that's amazing.
And Isabel, she's 3 months old, so she's our newest member of the family, and we're happy for Josh and Irene, and we wish they were closer, but we are digging that part of our lives.
Yeah, our college graduates are close, really very close at the moment, but I'm sure that could change anytime. So, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your background, and obviously your professional career ties in so closely to your community work and all the things that you're involved with. So, kind of, let's just go there. Right, talk about maybe first over your coming back here, getting involved in the business. What led you to, I don't know if calling is the right word, let you describe, moving from professional, and then I can list some of the things I've got here, but I'll let you talk about it first, all the things you're involved with. So what moved you to get involved in the community and do the things that so many things that you do? Oh, wait, including work, but because that allowed, right? We've learned here at GSN that gives us an opportunity, right, to do so many things.
Well, as we talked about when I went to the bad word, Carolina, UNC, Chapel Hill, go Heels. Thank you for letting me say that, Stephen. So when I graduated and got back, no, you cannot edit that out. When I came back to Gastonia, it was because I was broke. It wasn't because I really wanted to be here. But I had a job down in South Florida because I wanted to be a cruise director. That was my main thing. But I had really important goals in life that existed of having fun, helping people, and not being bored. I mean, very important goals in life. Those were my 3 goals, and they really were. And I didn't start my job till Labor Day, so I had the summertime, and Dad was like, I really could use some help. I was like, okay, I'll come help you. It's all good. I could live for free. I could do it for a couple, 3 months. Everything was good. But when I graduated and came back into the business, because I'd always worked there after school and on the weekends, I was like, oh, gosh, transportation industry. Never really realized that. That's kind of a need. People think that's important. Never, it's just where I picked up cigarette butts and answered the phone and typed weird things in the computer. That was what it was before I went off to school. When I got back, I just had different perspective. So that was kind of cool. So then, as God would have it, the person that I was replacing in my job down in South Florida at a resort, was not going to retire. She was going to work another year. So I was like, dun, dun, dun. Hope to stay in Gastonia.
That a sign, maybe?
Yeah, who knows? Well, I didn't think it was at the time. I was devastated at the time. But I thought, okay, it's fine. Dad's like, I really need you. And I was learning so much. It was fine. It was good. So that's what we did. I waited another year. But during that year, that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having fun. I'm helping people, and I am so not bored. Every single day is different. And when you're working with the retail public, as you guys know, every day is different. You never know what to expect. So I just started this process of learning everything and really enjoying it. And the next thing I knew, it was 5 years later, 10 years later, and I absolutely loved every day and still love every day. Kind of amazing. But the interesting thing is that people that I had grown up with when I was here a couple months, and it was I was going to stay for a while, my youth choir director at church at First Methodist with Edith Kirsch, and she called me one day and she was like, hey, you're going to be at this place at this time, and I'll meet you there. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And she said, doesn't matter, you just need to come.
That's funny.
Okay, well, it was the Gaston Community Concerts Association.
Okay.
And she was on the board, and it was an organization that brought classical music, or kind of broadened the perspective with music to Gaston County, whether it was string quartets or orchestras or horn sections, whatever it was, just brought different music. And then we would take those programs to the school and kind of broaden the perspective for the kids of different types of music that they may not have been alert to. So I went in, and there was a whole bunch of old people. I'm sure they were in their 30s because, when you're young,
when
everybody's
you're 20,
old. Everybody's old. So, but they were so kind. Yeah, that's right. It is. It's the truth.
Yeah.
But they were so kind, and they were so happy to have me. And they were just like, I was just remember thinking, why are they so happy just to have me? I'm just coming to a meeting or whatever. Well, what I didn't realize is they were so excited to get somebody from the younger generation involved. And of course, at that time, I had no idea what I was getting into. But Ms. Kirsch told me, she said, if you are going to be in this community, it is your responsibility to give back. And you got to do something that is outside your normal, everyday job.
Can't be related to cars or all transportation.
She said, you need to give back to people. That's what you do. That is what God has you supposed to do. I was like, oh, okay, I still had no idea. But the relationships that I made on that board and what we did, which was so super simple, we just, decided who was going to come for the season and booked the dates and then invited people and sold memberships. And, it was pretty cool. But I made so many relationships, so many people that were so thankful to have me, So Ms. Kirsch kind of got me going and really opened my eyes to, it's not just about me getting up and going to work, and then, of course, at that age, going out every night. And the most important thing you could do in the week was to decide what you were doing for the weekend, because that's what we did back then.
Sure.
So it definitely gave me a bigger perspective on things. So good or not good, I started very early because I was fresh out of college and
this would have been late 80s?
87.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
87. So, anyway, so then it just kind of grew from there, because as I met people were like, hey, you want to do this? And me, being me, sure, because I do. I love helping, and I love having fun, and I love doing stuff different. So everything was an opportunity to do those three things, which were, again, my goals in life. So it just all kind of fit together. And the more I did, the more I loved.
So looking back now, those three goals, are they still the same?
They are still exactly the same.
Okay.
They have not gotten old.
Have you found, so somebody's listening out there thinking, gosh, working stuff in the community is just so hard and it takes so much time. But have you found, like I have found that I often get more out of it than maybe those who I'm serving?
100%.
Yeah, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Going in.
It's very humbling and very astounding at how many generous people are out there with their time and their talents, their money. I mean, there's some good people out there, and meeting those people, every single person I meet makes me a better person. And I glean something from what they taught me, and it's sometimes I just can't even put into words how cool that is, because it is. I didn't realize it, in '87. I'll realize it now because I feel like I might be a tad wiser. That might just me be telling myself. But when I look back, I'm like, this was all along. It's been like a ministry. And I can say that 37 years I've been full-time, and I still love what I do every day, but it's because I had those simple goals. It wasn't anything grandiose. It was just very basic. You keep things simple, and you keep things basic. It's like everything else just kind of fits on that platform. And of course, growing up in a family-owned dealership, and having been having the opportunity to work at a few short, part-time jobs in the summer, stuff that were more corporate, or just knowing Ford Motor Company and Subaru being corporate. When I look back, I didn't realize how important it was to keep that hometown attitude, and keep that, because it fits really well in Gaston County, and it fits really well for our team members, which you guys totally get, because you have the same challenges that I do compared to hometown versus corporate.
Oh, sure.
And it's very challenging. But I'm so thankful that my dad set such a good example for what that meant. Taking care of each other, having respect for each other, having being kind and considerate. There's just, oh gosh, I could talk about that.
There's these foundational, we call them, we have our list of core values.
Core values, yes.
But there's even some that we don't put on paper because they're just foundational, and like compassion is one of them.
Yes.
I think if you read our core values,
I do.
That word wouldn't be on there. But like when I meet new team members here at orientation, I talk about that compassion is kind of what we call permission to play. If you don't compassion for for your coworkers and our customers, you're probably not going to make it here, because you're going to feel alienated, so to speak.
Oh my gosh, and that is such a great point, Stephen, because our core values, I call them our non-negotiable standards. It's like, if you can't have integrity, if you can't be excellent at what you do and have commitment to what you do, have a family atmosphere, and then want to grow, I like you, we'll be friends, but you just can't work here.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to fit. You're not going to be in your happy place. And if you're not in your happy place and you're not going to like it, then you're not going to do a good job for our people. And that's just, we can't do that.
All right. So, we could talk about that for the next 12 hours, but Naomi at least has to get back to work here in a little while. So
this is work.
So you mentioned Gaston Community, the concert series, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to mention a couple other things. So we probably literally don't have time to talk about everything that you've been involved with, but these are just some that I know of off the top of my head. Girl Scouts, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Gaston, YMCA, Community Foundation. Of course, you and I could talk a lot about First United Methodist Church, especially the youth, and the impact you've had even on so many kids and my kids. But I know there are others, and then there's some awards in there as well that I'm going to ask you about eventually. But can you pick out one or two of those, and then maybe talk about what led you to them, and then some of the things that you specifically done with some of those organizations? Or maybe there's another one that I'm not personally aware of. I'm sure there are others that I'm not aware of personally.
Yes, I can. Okay. It's hard because every single thing I've done, I love. It's hard for me to pick out a best because I just...
Well, I didn't mean to pick out a best.
Yeah, but I mean, it just... Yeah. But one of the things that is top of mind are Boys and Girl Scouts, because... well, first of all, it was a double whammy. I got to help young girls, but I also got to do it with one of my best friends, Julie Heath.
Right.
Is one of my best friends, and she is the creative, crafty one, and I am so not. I was the take care of business and do what needs to be done. So we were a perfect match, and I think that's what made it so beautiful, because we had two different talent sets, but together we were a really strong team. But building girls of courage and character that want to make the world a better place. Oh my gosh, I'm all over that. I loved that. And we were so lucky to have some really good girls that are going to make the world a better place. They already are. Those were probably some of my best years. Getting to camp, getting to just show them just the basics, but the character and the courage, what does that look like in real life? You can say those words, but what does it look like? What do you specifically and intentionally have to do every day in your decision-making to be a person of character? That is fun to teach a young person. So, and then Boy Scouts, the same thing. luckily, we had our Girl Scout troop for 14 years. Every one of our girls got gold, which is the highest award you can get. Oh my gosh. Oh, you talk about something that is, that's probably, talking about what was one of my greatest things. That is one of my greatest things, seeing these girls accomplish that. But then Boy Scouts, about that time, is when Ty was getting into Cub Scouts, my youngest. So he did the Boy Scouts thing. Of course, I have to jump in and be, one of the volunteers and one of the moms that gets in the way. Tried to not insert myself when it wasn't appropriate, but it was really fun. And all of those kids, those were all the guys there, whole different set of expectations with the Boy Scouts. A lot of similarities, but
Sure.
Totally different way of going about it. So then I got to be with that group of guys and the wonderful leaders and the other volunteers that made it happen, and watch these guys come up through Scouts, and every one of those kids in our troop got their eagle. I just can't put into words the thankfulness, appreciation, and gratitude to have the resources it takes to help those kids get that, because what that will mean for them for the rest of their life is a game changer. So that was a really cool aspect of something I've been able to help with in the community. But the other thing is the people that inspired me were like both of our troop leaders, for the Boy Scouts. They didn't have kids in the troop. They were doing it because they just love to help these young kids learn, again, character and ethics and, being prepared and doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do for no other reason than it's just the right thing to do. And I get all excited about that. So those were two of my probably the coolest things.
Has it been intentional? It seems like I've known you for a long time. It seems like what we just described, but also some of the other things you've been involved with. It seems like there has been maybe a leaning toward children and youth. Has that been an intentional thing, or is it just the organization that you kind of just enjoyed and liked?
Just enjoyed and liked. I wish I could say it was intentional and I had like some grandiose plan, but I'm not that smart to figure that. It's just like, okay, I like it, I'm going to do it. But similar like to the why, when I look back, what I find that the things I enjoyed the most was when I was engaged in the grassroots efforts, like being with the kids. Camping or doing like the YMCA board. Loved the YMCA and was on the board and loved it. However, what I love more is being with the members at the Y, helping them feel good about themselves, or helping them with the exercise plan, or helping them with what they can do to be the best version of themselves.
I mean, you've instructed classes at the Y.
Yes,
as well,
32 years. This is your cue. Wow, Natalie.
Wow.
You don't look old
So you were 5 when you started doing that?
You're on your game, Stephen. On your game.
My goodness.
But so I like the policy, the board level, fine. But where I really, really love the happy place is when I'm in the mix of it, like on the
doing things.
I like doing things, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't remember the last time this occurred, but we're asked all occasion, right, about our business and what do y'all do? How do you plan? All this, stuff, especially when we go off to conferences and stuff, and it's being intentional. I'm in some peer groups, and ultimately, I finally just came to the conclusion. You know what? We just do things. The planning for things change so quickly. We don't do much 3 to 5 year planning anymore. We used to try, but we just have these values that we try to keep us the guardrails, and we just go do things and try to do things that keep and make decisions within those guardrails.
Yes.
Whether it's community or whether it's business, family, or whatever, because ultimately, talk gets you nowhere. You got to go do something. You got to take some action. And,
you got to walk it.
Whether it's, again, business or involved with organizations. So a couple of things related to what we've talked about. I'm going to touch briefly on the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Gaston and their gigantic event they have every year, Dancing for Future Stars.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been involved with that maybe more than once?
Twice.
And are you the only two-time
dummy day? No.
Grand champion of that event?
Yes, but again, it has nothing to do with my dancing. It has everything to do with the kids, because when you know that you're raising money for you ever met any of the staff members, the workers at the Boys and Girls Clubs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You talk about selfless people. You talk about compassion. You talk about ginormous hearts.
Yes, no question.
That's what drove me, because I think about these people. I'm like, I want to help raise enough money so that they can be paid to do what they do to help these kids every day, because these are the kids. A little love goes a long way. A little support, a little help with their homework can totally change these kids' lives around. And I look at these people that do that every day, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I can help you raise money so that you can do it, because that is just what they deal with and what they have to cope with on a daily basis is so beyond me that's what drove me. So, yes, it had nothing to do with dancing.
So, yeah, are you hearing a theme here that the kind of like our guest last week was maybe deflecting to others, which is typical of community servants, real community servants that are doing it from the right place. Mm-hmm. It's always about others, and I appreciate that. What can you tell me about the Duke Kimbrell Civic Award, and maybe is it the Spirit of Carolinas Award?
Mm-hmm. Phenomenal. Gosh, now I'm paranoid, but I mean, it's a phenomenal honor. But it would not be. It wouldn't even be an opportunity. Now you got me paranoid, because our team at work is so engaged. And if they didn't do what they did, then I couldn't get out in the community, because I'd be sitting there at my desk handling problems or coaching employees or, just the things that happen. But because we have such a engaged team that really wants to take care of people, it allows
you the opportunity. Yeah,
to get out and do these things, because you can't do that and run a business unless you have a great team. So yes, they're phenomenal honors, and
But those are two awards specifically for community involvement from both a personal and professional level. So that's the reason I wanted to point it out. And it gives I'm an NC State guy, so I have no good grammar. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but you have a cool word.
Validity.
I mean,
Well, true. Some validity to the discussion and why you're here. So I'll ask you a question. I think you've already answered it, but by what you mentioned about the Girls and Boy Scouts, specifically with the Gold and the Eagle Scout Awards. But is there something else that comes to mind? The question specifically, is there something you're most proud of through your community service work or even professional work related to things going on in the community? Is there anything else that crosses your mind, or did you answer my question before I asked it?
Yeah, I think so, because things, when I think about things that I'm proud of, of course, my family and having kids grounded in Christ, but having a family at work that they have solid character, they're trustworthy, they work together, they have respect for each other. Honestly, that is what I'm most proud of, because that is so hard. That is my job every day, because we have 150 or so employees now. You know how it is?
Yeah.
Everybody can't have a good day all on the same day.
Correct.
And so,
except for Naomi,
you have a good day every day, Naomi. That's great. But it's but it's just, when I think of things that are challenging, it's a good challenge, because they're, our team at the dealership at Subaru and Ford, they're our greatest asset, but they're also the biggest challenge. But helping them be their best every day, that is probably one of my greatest, what I feel like is my greatest accomplishment, because it's not anything that you get and it's done. It's every single day you have to work at it, because every day people need you. And sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. I can't do this. And then I remember that all the things that drive me, and that where my happy place is that's exactly what it is, helping people be at their best every day, whether it's through the community in a, scouting, or, at the Y in one of my classes, or my team every day. But watching them build relationships, watching them take care of customers, and people being appreciative of them, and then it makes them happy. Then they want to do better. And it's just like a upward spiral that just everybody just love friendliness, and I love respect and helpfulness. And that when you do that every day, and you're teaching and showing by example, because that's another hard thing. That means I kind of got to be on it.
Yeah, people are our kids, people in the community, people who we work with, they sometimes may not listen, but they are definitely watching what we're doing, how we're acting. And when I walk in this door every day, I know that I have a big impact. I used to not know this, but I have learned that I have a big impact on the general attitude around here. So if I come in like the
Grinch,
droopy or whatever, or the Grinch, Get that. I hope that
we'll have to edit that one out, right?
I hope that wasn't picked up by the microphone.
We'll just say the Grinch.
But to your point, something that, when we talk about community service, so many times I think we immediately go to Boys and Girls Club, Girls and Boy Scouts, so YMCA, Community Foundation. We go immediately to that. However, something that I think gets missed is as business owners, as a business owner, you've created a business or helped build a business. You've dedicated so much time and invested so much here, right? So you just drive a few miles down Franklin now, to see the investment that you guys you have made. And so that's another, for me, that's another level of you providing jobs and opportunities and things that without you, that might not be there. So that's not what gets in the paper or gets the recognition as much as, the other stuff that you're involved with. But I do like to be reminded of that and point out, even talking to Ellis Fisher last week, his medical career was just as big an impact as his work at Holy Angels. Or whatever he might be involved with. So I do think that's something that I've become very aware of that when maybe, 20 years ago, that was so over my head that I had no concept of that.
Well, think about if you go home on a hot summer day and your air conditioner doesn't work, you're ticked off. You're in a bad mood. There's nothing that...
And always have taken some of those phone calls, haven't you?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's legit, right? It's legit, okay? So the better team we have that can act on that and provide that need and fulfill that service gets that person back in their happy place and gets them happy again.
Sure.
And the quicker and faster and the best we can do that, then that person is not going to ruin somebody else's day because they're hot or because they're mad.
Yeah.
Same thing with a car. When your car breaks, nobody made it break. It's a mechanical thing that happens. That's why we're here. But you come in and your car is broken and you can't get to work or you can't get to the doctor or you can't get to take care of your mom or whatever it is you're doing, you're ticked and you're not happy. And so the best we can do is important because the quicker we can get that person back to their normal world, then the happier they are and the less people they tick off while they're in a bad mood. Because one thing affects another, affects another, affects another. So, nobody wants to spend money to fix their air conditioning.
Yeah, it's not a planned event.
Yeah, or their car. Nobody wants to buy a new car. It's fun, but that's a big deal and it's hugely stressful. Okay. So, to your point, trying to take the stress out of that situation by having happy faces and voices at the end of the line when you say, my heater's not working, it's cold as grits outside, to say, we got you. You are calling the right place. Take a deep breath. We're on it. Here's what we're going to do. And give them the plan. It's not going to happen magically, but knowing that there's a plan and that you've got them and that they're taken care of, that's what that person wants to hear. Same thing in the car industry. Whether it's buying one, wrecking one, you did not know that deer was going to jump out in front of you. You did know if you were texting, though, so put your phones down by public service announcement. Because honestly, our biggest influencer for collisions, people's phones.
I don't doubt
it was really, really not a good thing. But anyway, the deer, whole different story. However, the more you can say, we got you, it's okay, you're at the right place, we're going to help you get back to your normal. That's what people need. And that gives me great pleasure to have a service that's a necessary, as we learned through COVID, essential business, because that's what we try to do. And then trying to have all your employees on their best game, on their everyday, consistently, that's a huge challenge. But it's important.
Yeah. You really articulate that a lot better than I was trying to earlier. So I appreciate that. But I do believe that, our community is better off because Tindol Ford is here, 150 team members and the 150 families that you're supporting. So when I talk about the community service part, that's another, opportunities that you're providing. So that was kind of the point. But, that's every business. And I think I come in every day, and I do believe that our community in general is better off because GSM is here and the people that we serve. Boy, do we fall down every now and then and
we do, but
wonder,
that's
like, what in
because
the
we're
world are we
human.
thinking today? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. But it's not that it happens, is how quickly you recover from it.
Right.
Not falling down. It's getting back up.
Right.
Saying, let's go. We got this.
So we've covered a lot. So, and again, like I said before we started, you and I could talk about this stuff for hours because we just.
Well, we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, well, but your energy is always so terrific, and you bring such energy to everything you're involved with. So is there anything else that I should have asked or haven't asked? We're going to shift gears here a little bit. And of course, we'll make sure you have the last word here before we finish up, but we are going to shift gears and throw a little Gaston County questions on you here in a second. But anything that I haven't asked or anything you'd like to share before we shift gears slightly, Natalie?
I would say that from where I am now, because I'm not old yet, but I have more years than I used to, I see how important it is to be what Miss Kirsch was to me.
Oh, yeah.
To be the person that helps this younger generation say, hey, come on, this is what you can do, and it's okay. Because, I'm always a little timid to say, I don't want to bother you, and I know you've got a lot going on, but, would you like to, or whatever. Sometimes you just have to say, come on, let's go. This is what we're going to do, and this is why we're going to do it, and it's a good thing. And I hope that our generation, our 40s and 50s friends, because we have a really, really strong village. We have a really good village here in Gaston County of that generation, and we need to be intentional about getting the 20s and 30s to jump in, because I think, as we see all the generations, what they learn and what's important to them, we got to be the people that keep the legacy of community service going. And it's not hard and it's not scary, and you make so many friends, and it's so fulfilling. I would like to be more intentional with helping others along to do what we've done.
Sure.
When we didn't even know why we were doing or what we were doing, we just knew it was good. And then you look back and you're like, this is a good thing. Thank you, Lord.
It's odd when I'm sitting, say, at Rotary or at church. Now I'm looking around and saying, well, am I like Barbara Voorhees was probably my Edith Kirsch, on the community side.
Mm-hmm.
When I first joined Rotary, she really, of course, I was in her carpool in elementary school. But in fact, I don't think we've scheduled a date yet, but she's agreed to come on and talk as well with us.
She will be amazing. She's one of my idols.
Oh yeah. I mean, and so yeah, I'm looking around thinking, am I that person now that I used to look up to when I was 25 or 30?
Yes,
I'm like,
you are. You are.
It's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's like, somebody did urge me and push me along, because otherwise I may not have gotten involved. I don't know, right? I think everybody probably has somebody who kind of either set an example or urged them on to do something like that. People that are involved.
And you're younger than me, and but we grew up together, and so we knew each other. But you are an inspiration to me because the way you and Joel work together, first of all, as brothers, but knowing a lot of your employees and knowing how happy they are and knowing what they say, how proud they are to be a part of the GSM family, I aspire to that. I want people to say, I'm proud to be the Tindol family, and we do good things in the community, and I want to be what you guys are doing.
I appreciate that.
So it's really...
But you are.
But it's cool, Stephen, because, that's... Y'all have come a long way.
I'm going to call this the GSM Tindol Love Fest episode.
No, I'm totally serious.
No, I appreciate that.
It's an amazing thing because you don't have to do it. You can just go fix people's stuff.
Yeah.
And just say, show up for work, punch your clock, and this is what you got to do, and do it. If you don't do it, you can't work here.
Yeah.
It's not that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And I'm so thankful for other business owners.
Just like you, we had parents who kind of showed that way as well.
Yeah,
we
did. It doesn't have to be so yuck. You can work and you can have fun and you can help people all at the same time. And that's what you guys do here. And I learned that when I saw y'all jump in the cold water during the polar plunge at the YMCA. But you do walk the walk. You don't just talk it. And you and Joel should be very proud of that.
Maybe we should stop this episode right there.
Dun, dun, dun. The end.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Now, so we're not gonna let you off the hook though, because you've been here since you were 9, so it's 25 years or so.
So yes.
So we have these Gaston County, what we call the Gaston County speed round of questions. I normally come up with some ridiculous name for it, but I don't have anything today, so we're gonna go right to it though. And these, you might have a couple of these that Natalie sent you, but some of them you're not going to have to.
Okay, I'm ready.
Favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Oh, go back to the best thing. Everyone. I've never had a bad Tony's ice cream flavor. Sorry.
Sounds like a politician answer.
I know. That's awful, and I am not one making that clear.
Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Cheerwine.
Favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County, or favorite park or something that...
Oh, gosh. I would say boating on Lake Wiley.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. What is the last TV or online series you streamed?
I don't think I've ever streamed.
You've never streamed like Netflix, or you don't do any of that stuff?
I mean, I'm sure I have, and the kids did it, and I just didn't know I was streaming. I don't watch TV. I can't watch the news.
Good for... Well, I don't watch the news either.
Yeah, it just bumps me out.
Good for you.
Sorry, is that boring?
It's not boring. It's actually makes me feel like, gosh, I do occasionally watch TV.
Well, no, I love watching TV. Well, if I do watch TV, I don't think it's streaming. It might be streaming. I don't know. I just turn the TV on and it's on. Okay, I'm officially my age now. Oh, that's not good. But anyway, we watched the old stuff. Perry Mason.
Okay, that's a series.
Happy Days.
Happy Days is a series as well.
I love.
You ever heard of those?
So I don't know if it's in. You're watching what? The Nanny. I can't do the laugh.
I remember that.
Can't do the laugh, but no, I don't know if it's not intentional, but I just like the older stuff because they didn't say bad words in it, and everybody's happy, and it always has a happy ending. If I watch a movie, it needs to be Disney because it always has a happy ending.
We're an Andy Griffith. We're
yeah.
Andy Griffith house.
We do Andy Griffith. So that old stuff is just John and I love watching that together.
What is something very few people know about you?
Golly, let's see. I had my pilot's license in high school.
Did you really?
So, yeah, not many people know that. But it wasn't good timing because when I was in high school, my dad got it for me for my birthday, flying lessons, because he flew. And so I had all the time to go fly and learn. And then I got to college and had lots of time, so I got lots of practice. But then when I got out of college, I had a full-time job, so I didn't have the time. And
I did not know that.
But had money to rent planes, and so I never got into.
Did you know Alex just got his private license? Yeah, he sure did.
Which is so amazing. And Ben Sheila Roosevelt, too.
Yes.
A couple of our youth are into that.
That's really good.
And Ross Harwell, yeah.
How about, I don't know if you have time for reading or listening to podcasts or listening to books, audio or anything. Is there a recent book or something that you could, or not have to be recent actually, I always say that, but it could be something that impacted you in the past? Or I
can't do books really well because of just the time thing, but I do articles a lot. Most of the articles and books that I read have to do with leadership based on Christian principles.
Okay.
I like Dave Anderson is one of the authors I really like because he is a Christian author, but everything he talks about is so relevant to my everyday life, so I just get it and I can use it. Just about being prideful or servant leadership, just those type of topics, that is where that's where I gravitate to.
Yeah, I mean, multiple. I'm a big podcast guy, so probably a quarter of the podcasts I typically listen to are leadership. Some of them are spiritual leadership, servant leadership. Like Patrick Lencioni I'm a big fan of his, and he's written a lot of stuff kind of based on that concept. So
I'm very practical, so I like to read or listen to something that I can use.
Yeah, something that's you can apply right on your daily life.
I have listened to true crimes before, though. Crime Junkie.
That's a Janet and Hannah thing.
That's mine and John's go-to when we do long trips. So
that's how they're all about that.
That's streaming. Does that count for streaming? Does that make me a little bit younger? It is on the podcast button on my app, so certainly that took 10 years off my age right there.
We'll move on. So, Natalie, I appreciate you kind of indulging us on our Gaston County questions. So we're going to finish up here with a couple more questions and let you get back to something maybe more productive than having to sit across from me. So remember, this is a podcast. We call it Gaston's Great because we're trying to share all the great things about Gaston County. You've been here a few years. So from your perspective, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I think Gaston County is a great place because of our size. We are small enough to be hometown, but we're big enough to have a lot of resources. Right. And those two things are, I think, what makes us great. The people here are phenomenal, and people like you and I, we can do something, whatever that something is, and we can make a large impact in our community. And we can afford to make a large impact in our community with whatever it is that we do, because there's so many it's. I think that's a big deal because I have a lot of friends in business in larger cities, and they can do something major, grandiose, whether it's an event or giving money to a charity or doing something that's like, oh my gosh, that was giant, and nobody even knows about it.
Right.
So I'm very thankful that no matter how large or small, we try to contribute to other people around us and others too. It can make a big difference to people. And I like being being able to make a difference for folks. So I think our largest asset is our people, because we have such good people that care, and what we do can make an impact for those in our county.
Well said. Thank you. Last question. Knowing what you know now, Natalie, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
What advice would I give my 20-year-old self?
It's
I would
just 2
say
years ago,
not
so
to take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Because back to my husband, if I was not married to John, I would be such a stick in the mud, because I'm all work and no play, and I'm all serious and got to be focused and intentional and have to be a good leader and, all these things that it's like I want to do. But John really balances me out, and I'm able to do a lot more with less energy because I don't take myself so seriously. And it's not all about me, and I learned that early on. And when you know that you are one part of a big picture, and that together you can accomplish so much more than you can individually. If I had to learn that earlier in life through these through life experiences, I think I would have saved myself a lot of anxiety and stress and been getting up. Because now I understand, it's like I train every single person to be able to take my job. I want them to be able to be a leader and be a servant leader, or whatever it is, whether it's at our dealership or an organization or what. And then when you see all these people being at their best and bringing out their best, and together, it's just so cool what you can accomplish together.
Yeah. So, the things I thought were a big deal when I was 20, looking back, like, geez. And then I think when I was 20, at least most 20-year-olds, I think their job is to be self-centered. It just takes experience that I wish we could, that life experience could happen sooner. To your point about if you could just realize it's not about you, but when I was 20, it was all about me. But I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah, and I think that's just human nature.
It is, yeah.
But the more people you help and the more you give of yourself and of your resources, and I think you get back tenfold. And, my why is because I have Jesus in my heart, and I think what I do every day, no matter what it is a ministry. I want to be a seed planter, and because he makes life so much better. And just no matter what it is, a good or a bad situation, you have more gratitude, and then you have more grace when you try to get through the bad stuff. So it's just that is a beautiful thing to share, and it helps other people have perspective. And then hopefully they can be the Natalie and the Stevens of the next generation.
Well, I appreciate that. So that's probably a great way to finish off. But anything else you'd like to add before we finish? Maybe somebody's listening who's wondering, well, how can I get involved, or why should I get involved? Anything else you'd like to share right before we close this episode out now?
There are so many great opportunities in our area, from mentoring a one-on-one, situation, if that's your happy place, to being on a board, to planning events to help raise money. There's so many different volunteer opportunities, and that's kind of, just once you do one thing and you meet people, then you're going to do a second thing and a third thing. Just getting involved in something. If everybody can do a little bit, then nobody has to do a lot, and it makes everybody better. So, whether it's something at your church or at your kid's school, just being a grade mother, anything makes a difference. And so just say yes to every opportunity you can, and get out there, and don't be afraid to share what you have, because you're pretty special in and of yourself, and don't compare yourself to other people, because whatever you have to give is going to be good. And you just need to be proud and not be scared to put yourself out there and help somebody.
Yeah, well, very well said. And I always finish off with a book or podcast recommendation and maybe a quote or something. But before I do that, I just want to, I've been fortunate. My family's been fortunate. All three of our kids have been impacted by Natalie through her involvement with the youth at First Methodist Church. So directly impacted in a positive way. And so I'm grateful for that. And this, I'm also grateful just the example, I've already said this, but the example that you've set for others to see what is possible and that you can make an impact and a difference in our community. So yeah, I appreciate that and what you've done personally and through your business and just the way you go about your daily life. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that
so much, Stephen. Thank you.
And you're also very good for putting up with John as well.
God gave me a good talent for that.
That's a big task. Patience. So I'm going to finish with my book recommendation. It's actually a book I just finished this past week, and it was good enough that I want to talk about it. It's he's pretty famous guy now, I think, a gentleman named T.D. Jakes, who's a minister, and he wrote a book. His most recent book is called Disruptive Thinking. And I think it's really, I would strongly recommend it. If you're into all the issues that we kind of have in our society, he's got some good thoughts about what to do about it and a different, and it is disruptive thinking. But I'd also encourage you to look him up and maybe follow him online, or if you're into that kind of thing, please do. He's a great guy. And my thought for the week is from a gentleman named, actually, you know what? I can't say that. I don't know if it's a female or a male, actually. Eden Philpotts. I assumed it was a male, but it might not be, actually. I didn't look him up, look the individual up. But he said, or she said, the universe is full of magical things patiently waiting for our wits to grow sharper. So my interpretation of that is, there is a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of magical things that we might see, whether it's a God wink that you don't pay attention to or see, but if we just open our eyes, be a little more open-minded, we may see them. So I think that kind of maybe encompasses this discussion today, and encompasses maybe one of the reasons we started this podcast almost 3 years ago, over 2.5 years ago now. So again, I appreciate that very much. And Natalie, thank you for your time. And as always, we are very grateful for our listeners out there. Please keep coming back to listen to future episodes and continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast. Don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address if you have an idea for a future guest or topic. Our email address is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. And as Naomi always reminds me, give us a good 5-star rating. That helps the podcast get noticed.
Yes.
And thanks again to Natalie for being our guest today.
Been delightful.
Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.